Day 2 of Paris-Nice saw the riders head southeast from the start in Chevreuse, taking 3 categorised climbs, 2 intermediate sprints and 166.5 kilometres before they eventually arrived at the finish in Chalette-sur-Loing. Once again though, it was the weather, and in particular the wind, that was expected to play as much of a part in the outcome as the terrain itself. It was under blue skies that the riders set off this morning, Schachmann and Alaphilippe leading the way in the yellow and green jerseys respectively, but the weather, unexpectedly, soon took a turn for the worse. KOM leader Jonathan Yver of Total Direct Energy and Jose Manuel Diaz of Nippo Delco Provence were the only 2 riders in the day's break. Their advantage down to less than a minute and a half, with just under half the stage remaining. Behind them, at this point, the whole peloton was still together, but it was only a matter of time before the proverbial would hit the fan. And those same nerves in the bunch that we saw yesterday led to the break being caught just 16 k's further down the road. At the head of affairs at this point was the team of race leader Max Schachmann, Bora Hansgrohe. 3-time world champion Peter Sagan was unusually on lead-out duties at this point in the race, shepherding the German towards the intermediate sprint where he duly picked up 3 bonus seconds. Second there though went to Colombian champion Sergio Higuita. The sun re-emerged very briefly inside the last 30 kilometres, but the race was very much on as it was for most of the day. Sam Bennett, who now rides for De Koning Quick-Step, wanted the rides to be caught on the wrong side of a split in the Crosswinds. And it was turning into a repeat of yesterday, and that meant more crashes, this time for Nairo Quintana. He was quickly back onto his brother's bike, but it was the worst time for this to happen, with the front group now riding flat out. At this stage of the race, we had a group of around 30 riders at the front, but as the kilometres ticked down, so too did the number of riders. It was certainly one of the hardest days of racing that we've seen so far in 2020, although it can be a frustrating race for general classification riders, with their hopes often dashed before they've even seen a mountain. World champion Mads Pedersen was loving it though, doing a huge job to keep his GC leader Vincenzo Nibali at the head of affairs. Racing really doesn't get much better than this, at least as a spectator. Riders and groups all over the road, and we still had 10 kilometres to go. The final split involved just 13 riders: Higuita, Schachmann, Nibali, Sagan, Ackermann, Pedersen, Pollitt, Nizzolo, Sturven, Grosschartner, Neilands and Verschmidt, and also Mads Pedersen still riding his heart out at the front. Amongst those caught behind were Thibaut Pinot and Romain Bardet. The latter had already lost a chunk of time yesterday, but Pinot was still in the hunt for the GC, so his Groupama FDJ team were doing their best to limit the losses. Along with the GC battle, there was of course a stage win up for grabs. You don't often see a race leader driving things on the front, but that's exactly what Schachmann was doing, in part to increase the advantage, in part to work for their sprinter Pascal Ackermann. He would do his last hard pull on the front just inside the closing kilometre of the stage. In the sprint itself though, it was Sagan who'd taken over the lead-out duties. Ackermann on his wheel, but behind him, NTT sprinter Giacomo Nizzolo was waiting in the wings. Ackermann left it as long as he possibly could, kicking for the line with 150 metres to go, but he didn't have the legs. Nizzolo did though. The Italian had more than enough in the tank to come round Ackermann and take his second win of the season so far. Here's the overhead shot, Nizzolo showing a clean pair of wheels to everybody else, Ackermann holding on for second place, Jasper Sturven continuing his run of good form with third. As the Italian national team manager Gassani said on Twitter, a win for an Italian from Lombardy, giving us all a reason to smile. And well deserved too. NTT have now won more races this year than the whole of the 2019 season, and Nizzolo himself really seems to have stepped it up to another level. The GC leader remains the same though, Max Schachmann back on the podium in yellow and with a 15-second advantage over Nizzolo, who's moved himself up to second. Higuita, the best of the GC prospects, sitting in fourth at 23 seconds, whilst Nibali is a further 5 seconds back in ninth place. Tomorrow, it is the second longest stage of Paris-Nice at 212.5 kilometres. It starts where today finished, in Chalette-sur-Loing. They head in a predominantly southwesterly direction towards the finish line in Le Chat, and with the wind blowing from the northwest, this is going to be another long and tense day in the peloton. Now, my prediction yesterday was wrong in more ways than one, but tomorrow I'm hoping to improve, at least by getting the correct team name. I'm going for Caleb Ewan of Lotto Soudal. Give us your predictions in the comments section below, and make sure you tune back in tomorrow for what should be another very entertaining stage.